Can you spot the historical inaccuracies in these depictions of famous medieval warriors? Let's uncover the truth behind these legendary figures. Welcome, as we look into the world of historical inaccuracies in media. Today, we'll explore how these errors impact our understanding of 5 famous medieval warriors. Historical accuracy in storytelling is crucial. It shapes our perception of the past and influences how we see historical figures and events. Let's start with William Wallace, famously portrayed in Braveheart. Here are 5 glaring inaccuracies. The film shows Wallace wearing a kilt, a garment that wasn't worn in Scotland until centuries later. Kilts, as we know them, did not become part of Scottish attire until the 16th century, well after Wallace's time in the late 13th century. The Battle of Stirling Bridge in the film is depicted without the actual bridge. Historically, the bridge was a crucial element of the Scottish victory. Wallace and his forces used the narrow bridge to their advantage, cutting down the English as they crossed. Wallace's romantic involvement with Isabella of France is purely fictional. Isabella was only about 3 years old at the time of Wallace's death and did not marry Edward II until years later. This romantic subplot is a fabrication for dramatic effect. The title Braveheart itself is historically associated with Robert the Bruce, not William Wallace. After Bruce's death, his heart was carried into battle by his loyal knights, earning him the nickname. Wallace's defiant speech during his execution in the film is fictional. The real Wallace likely faced a much grimmer end without such theatrics. Historical records, including the Lanercost Chronicle, Heselrig's Rolls, and The Wallace by Blind Harry, provide more accurate depictions of Wallace and his campaigns. Next, we have Joan of Arc, depicted in The Messenger, the story of Joan of Arc. Here are 5 key inaccuracies. The film often portrays her as having direct, divine visions that dictate her actions. While Joan claimed divine guidance, historical records, including the transcripts of her trial, indicate that her military strategies were influenced by experienced commanders and the political context of the time. Joan is often depicted in shining, perfectly fitting armor. In reality, her armor was likely more practical and less glamorous. It would have been heavy, functional, and designed for protection rather than appearance. The film exaggerates her role as a solo leader. While she was undoubtedly an inspirational figure and a rallying point, she worked closely with experienced military leaders who provided strategic guidance. The dramatization of her trial omits the extensive political maneuvering and the influence of the English. The trial was highly political, aimed at discrediting her and undermining the legitimacy of Charles VII. Her execution is often simplified. The actual event was a drawn-out process involving multiple stages, reflecting the complex politics involved. She was condemned as a heretic and burned at the stake, but her execution was part of a broader effort to delegitimize her and her cause. These inaccuracies are contrasted by detailed accounts in The Trial of Joan of Arc transcripts and Joan of Arc, A History by Helen Castor. Next, we have Genghis Khan, as depicted in Mongol. This depicts Genghis Khan as a purely ruthless conqueror. Here are some key inaccuracies. The series simplifies his childhood struggles and the complex tribal politics he navigated. The real Genghis Khan, born Temujin, faced numerous challenges, including the murder of his father and the harsh realities of life on the steppes. His strategic brilliance and innovative tactics are often underplayed. Genghis Khan employed highly sophisticated strategies, including psychological warfare and rapid mobility, which were revolutionary at the time. Genghis Khan's contributions to trade, such as establishing and securing the Silk Road, are often overlooked. His empire created a vast network of trade routes that facilitated cultural and economic exchange. His development of a sophisticated legal code, known as Yasa, is rarely mentioned. This code helped to unify his diverse empire and establish order. The film does not adequately represent his policies of religious tolerance. Genghis Khan allowed freedom of religion within his empire, recognizing the importance of various beliefs to his subjects. These elements are detailed in The Secret History of the Mongols and Marco Polo's accounts. Now let's look at Harald Hardrada, is depicted in the TV series Vikings as a typical Viking warrior. Here are some key inaccuracies. His extensive career as a mercenary in the Byzantine Empire is often ignored. Harald served in the Varangian Guard and achieved significant success and wealth during his time in Byzantium. His contributions as a poet and his cultural impact are rarely shown. Harald was known for his poetic talents, and his verses were highly regarded in Norse culture. The series underplays his strategic and political skills. Harald was a shrewd leader who managed to consolidate power and navigate the complex political landscape of his time. The dramatization of his death at the Battle of Stamford Bridge often includes fictional elements. Harold's death was a significant event in the lead-up to the Norman conquest of England, but it is frequently romanticized or altered for dramatic effect. His life is more accurately detailed in the Heimskringla by Snorri Sturluson. This saga provides a comprehensive account of Harold's life, including his exploits, poetry, and eventual downfall. These accounts are well documented in Heimskringla and King Harold's Saga. Finally, Vlad the Impaler, depicted in Dracula Untold, is often shown as a tragic anti-hero who becomes the vampire Dracula. Here are 5 key inaccuracies. The association with Dracula is a later addition, popularized by Bram Stoker's novel. Vlad III, also known as Vlad Tepes or Vlad the Impaler, was a real historical figure, but the vampire legend is a 19th century literary creation. His fierce resistance against the Ottoman Empire is often romanticized. While Vlad did resist Ottoman advances, his methods were brutal and intended to instill fear rather than the noble defense often portrayed. His brutal methods of punishment, including impalement, are sometimes exaggerated or sanitized. Historical records indicate that Vlad used impalement extensively to maintain control and deter enemies, often with horrific consequences. The complexity of his political alliances and conflicts is oversimplified. Vlad's reign was marked by shifting alliances and betrayals, both with and against the Ottomans and other regional powers. His legacy is multifaceted, viewed differently in Romanian and Ottoman chronicles. In Romania, he is often seen as a national hero who defended against Ottoman invasion, while Ottoman sources highlight his cruelty. These aspects are detailed in Romanian and Ottoman chronicles and In Search of Dracula by Raymond T. McNally and Radu Florescu. Filmmakers face the challenge of balancing historical accuracy with creative storytelling. This can sometimes lead to significant deviations from historical facts. In my view, accurate portrayals not only enhance the educational value, but also enrich the narrative. Films like Outlaw King strive for historical accuracy by incorporating detailed research and consulting experts. My thoughts are that historical inaccuracies can distort our perception of the past. It's essential for filmmakers to portray events accurately as possible to preserve the integrity of history. Share your thoughts on historical inaccuracies you've noticed in media. Don't forget to check out our other videos and come back to the channel to see more future videos on fact-checking historical movies and the importance of accurate portrayals in film.